The video opens in a noisy, chaotic high school hallway. A group of notorious teenage bullies, loud, overconfident, and cruel, swagger through the corridors, making everyone shrink back in fear. They spot a new substitute teacher walking past with papers in her hand. Young, calm, and wearing a simple outfit, Ms. Rina looked nothing like a threat. One of the bullies, smirking, walked behind her and slapped her on the behind. The hallway fell into dead silence. A teacher? Really? Without turning her head, Ms. Rina dropped her files, twisted her body with fierce precision, and delivered a spinning kick that sent the bully crashing to the floor. Everyone froze. The teacher, who was supposed to be soft and silent, had just done what no one ever dared to. But behind that kick was a story of loss, fight, and redemption no one knew yet. And that story begins now. Rina Assad didn't expect to return to a high school, not after everything she'd been through. Years ago, she was a national-level martial arts champion. Her trophies lined her mother's tiny apartment, but fame and fighting had cost her everything: her health, her family, and ultimately her confidence. After her mother's sudden death and a career-ending injury, Rina vanished from the spotlight and chose a quiet life. She began studying to become a teacher, hoping to shape lives without fists. Her first teaching assignment landed her at Hillside High, a public school infamous for unruly students, especially a gang of boys who called themselves the Pack. They were rich, untouchable, and believed fear gave them power. On her first day, Rina walked into class wearing no makeup, no flashy outfit, just a plain blue scarf and a stack of lesson plans. The students barely noticed her. They whispered and giggled. She smiled softly and wrote her name on the board. Ms. Rina. But while she taught literature, their eyes weren't on the words. They laughed behind her back. One even threw a paper ball at her. She didn't flinch. "I've been in darker rings," she whispered to herself. "This is nothing." She kept her calm, day after day. But tension was rising. The Pack didn't like being ignored. They planned something cruel. Something public. Something they thought would put her in her place. It happened in the hallway between classes. Ms. Rina was carrying a stack of student journals when she felt a sting on her back. Laughter erupted. Phones came out. The leader of the Pack, a boy named Rayyan, had slapped her behind, and his friends were filming it. She stopped. Everyone expected her to cry or run. But instead, she slowly placed the papers on the floor. She turned. With eyes that had once stared down championship fighters, she locked onto Rayyan, and spun into a perfect 360 degrees back kick that struck his chest. Rayyan flew back and hit the lockers with a loud clang. Phones dropped. Students screamed. Silence fell like a storm. Principal Farid arrived, breathless. What happened? All eyes turned to the cameras. And the cameras told the truth. Rayyan was suspended immediately. His parents tried to press charges, but when the video went viral, millions supported Ms. Rina. The news picked up the story. Bullies assault new teacher, get instant justice in return. But behind that victory was something deeper. A few days later, one of Rayyan's friends, Ali, stayed back after class. He looked nervous. My sister's being bullied too," he said quietly. You could have destroyed him. But you didn't. Why?" Rina smiled, her voice low. "Because when you fight only with fists, you forget why you're fighting. I used to be like that. But now I fight with purpose, and when I kick to wake people up." She invited him to a community class she ran secretly after school, a place where girls and boys learned martial arts, not for trophies, but for strength, discipline, and self-worth. Week by week, more students came. Even Rayyan, after months, returned with his head down. He apologized, not for the camera, not for the attention, but with tears in his eyes. He had grown. The story ends not in a fight, but in transformation. Ms. Rina's class is no longer just about literature. It's about learning to fight with wisdom, to walk with honor, and to speak up when the world tries to silence you. Her spinning kick wasn't just an act of defense, it was a signal. A call to everyone watching. You are not weak because you are quiet. You are powerful when you know when to speak, when to stand, and when to strike with meaning. And that's how a once-forgotten champion became a hero in the most unexpected place, a high school classroom.